Good morning, afternoon, or night. Geist King here, and I hope everything is going alright. Welcome to another episode of Draw and Jaw, the show where I talk about whatever the hell Michigan I want to talk about. This is going to be another brief one, folks, but before I get into it, I want to thank kae-est, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, for letting me use his femk for this draw part of the episode. And Kae is another awesome artist that I follow. This guy has some crazy anatomy skills. He can put all the right curves in all the right places and exaggerate things very nicely to create some pretty incredible stuff. I'll be sure to post links to his Twitter and BlueSky below if for some reason you don't already know who he is. But today's episode is the result of another topic that kind of got out of hand that I didn't necessarily want to attach someone else's character or brand to. I'll just save that for the next one when I'm doing one of my own characters. So instead of getting into that, I tried to find some inspiration for another topic. I didn't really get very far until it occurred to me to chinwag about inspiration itself. Specifically some of the things that have molded me as an artist. I don't think it could be put any more perfectly than my friend Tangled Syntax put it. He once said that it's clear that my style is influenced by a combination of old school anime of the 1980s and the 90s and Western cartoons, comics, and video games of that same era. I mean, I've always felt that way, but never bothered articulating it until he said those words to me. It's like it all just clicked together. But you can see it all very clearly all over my work. To the way I reference some specific piece of, well, what's now considered nostalgia, to the way I'll structure a narrative. Hell, that era of entertainment is so ingrained into me that I'm sure other artists I regularly interact with have noticed by now that I have actual catchphrases. For those who don't know, a popular device used in movies, cartoons, and sitcoms of the era to add catchy sound bites to provide the viewer with a sense of familiarity along with the laughs. Mine seem to be saying Hell, Michigan, and Great Cthulhu. Born mostly out of thinking it's funny that there is an actual tiny little town in Michigan called Hell, and the exclamation of Great Cthulhu being an instinctive avoidance of more sacrilegious fare, on top of an avid appreciation of Lovecraftian literature. Kind of saying, oh my God, or Jesus Christ, without saying, oh my God, or Jesus Christ. I'm not even religious, honestly. I tend to leave theology to theologians, but ultimately when your mother teaches you something is not to be done, you tend to shy away from that behavior. It's the same reason I walk like I'm flexing with my arms out to the sides. When my brother and I were little, whenever we were in a store with our mother, old Mater nipped at us whenever our hands would idly go into our pockets. So it didn't look like we were stealing anything. So now, as an adult, I constantly walk like I'm rolling up on a gorilla for a fight. But in actuality, it's me being hardwired to keep my hands away from my pockets. I'm not showing off, I swear. And I swear I do not do the catchphrases or the walk on purpose. It just happens. It's all habit at this point. But enough of that tangent. Back to the inspirational stuff. Growing up in the 90s, we didn't have instant access to the internet everywhere we went. So outside of the anatomy books, we had to look for sources to give us ideas and help us grow as artists. There weren't a billion tutorials waiting to teach you whatever artistic path you wanted to go on. Hell, I wish someone would have told me what I tell others when they ask how I, subjectively, got good at what I do, which is there is no get good button. Get some good fundamentals under your belt and your personal style will develop as you practice, and practice. I mean, look at the screen here. I'm pretty much fumbling until I get something I don't think is too terrible. It really affects stamina and workflow efficiency. So I'm all about getting a good set of fundamentals under your belt if you're trying to learn art. For anybody who needs to hear that, get a good set of fundamentals under your belt. And a lot of us actually had to cobble together a style from whatever we were exposed to at the time. Comic books and magazines were what was readily available usually. I actually hoarded little bits of art that I liked, from newspaper clippings to food packaging to wrapping paper if I thought I could turn it into something. One of the reasons I loved collecting Pogs so much was for the art. Hell, to this day, I'll stare at the wood grain patterns on a door and come up with a pattern or theme I think I can do something with. It's just, that's how much we had to engage with our imaginations back then. Settling your eyes on something to see what you could cook up. But as the internet started to take over the world, I was exposed to some absolutely amazing talent that proved quite influential. Talent I would never have been exposed to otherwise. Sure, I mean the amazing artists in the early days of DeviantArt who helped me develop my personal style, but the old comic pros were something phenomenal. I didn't mean like old Marvel or DC. Yeah, they did some incredible work, but even when I was a kid, I had this vague notion that what I was seeing was very restrained. I don't mean restrained in the sense of the word like we see today, like sucking all the femininity out of a design, but like the anatomy was still a bit taboo somehow. What I'm actually talking about are the European pros. Guys like the Italian Paolo Serpieri, the French Thierry Girod, Antonio Segura from Spain, and the absolutely incredible Bernard Kamenov, better known by the pen name of Peter Riverstone. All incredibly talented individuals who did some insanely amazing anatomy work with all the composition and storytelling to really make their entire labor shine. And do not get me started on some of the Mexican stuff like La Chambeadoras, which was always it was always a pretty good romp with some really great art, and the Relatos De Presidio books, which had these amazing pulpy covers with an erotic and violent twist. Stories got pretty wild too. Classic sleaze if you're into that. And there's so many other incredible artists, too numerous to mention them all, honestly. But trust me, if you're a fellow adult artist who appreciates some amazing styles, check some of these guys out. I mean, it's incredible what they could do with ink and paint and pencil. Hell, pick up an old issue of heavy metal and go down that rabbit hole. You won't regret it. There's actually some YouTube channels with modern pros who go through some of these old masters' stuff and break down the techniques and thought process behind the artistic choices. I definitely recommend that as well. And as an added bonus, I think I'm going to start recommending a couple artist friends of mine at the tail end of these things. Kind of share as much love as my meager following can muster. Let's see, my first recommendation is 00 Gojiramon. Now this guy has a fun and vibrant art style and a good sense of composition that serves him quite well when it comes to his sequential art. Awesome sense of anatomy and appreciation of the sexual dimorphism that makes the human animal a visually interesting specimen. And the second recommendation is for Turnip 007. I've known both of these guys for years and didn't realize until just now that they're both double O's. Anyway, this rather jovial guy will make you laugh, but his artwork is pretty fantastic too. A detailed style that lends itself well to a variety of subjects without being overly complicated or cluttered. His anatomy work is superb, and all the curves and squish go in all the right places, leading some very appealing work. It's a bit tricky to describe, but he has a way of making a girl look nice and soft without overly exaggerating the proportions. just go check them out, and be sure to check out Double O Gojiramon and K as well. I'll link their socials below. And I guess that's where I'm going to end things for this jaw part of the episode. Be sure to share some of the things that inspire you down in the comments. I want to hear what shaped you guys as artists, or what you appreciate about certain styles. Just let me know. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, BlueSky, and donate a little something to the coffee if it pleases you. Links will be below also. And enjoy the rest of the drawing. I will see you guys in the next one. And most importantly, draw my OC.